Tottenham put the pressure upon Arsenal, 2 points behind them in the English Premier League, 2 games in hand. Tottenham show bottle. Antonio Conte stops Tottenham from being Spursy. A last-minute winner from Davinson Sanchez keeps his top 4 race absolutely a gulf, on fire, in flames. And what a second half to the season that we are going to have. It may not have been pretty. It may not have been a beautiful game. It may not be majestic. It may not get the juices flowing of rivals. It may not make Spurs a likable team. It may not make Tottenham the kind of talk of the town. However, 8 Premier League games for Antonio Conte, 8 games without defeat, another victory, the best opening record of a Tottenham manager ever in the English Premier League. They may not look great, but they are the real deal in this top 4 race. They go into 5th. They are 2 points now. 2 points, I say, behind Arsenal with 2 games in hand. The North London derby in just over 2 weeks' time on the 16th of January will be fire. It's going to catch fire. It's going to be a light. It's going to be amazing. Spurs just keep picking up these points again and again and again and again. And even when they're not great, they're getting them draws. Antonio Conte has certainly instilled him. You can see Antonio Conte in the way Tottenham play: resolute, tough, strong. They don't play well, but they win. And at the very least, they don't lose. Tough win, deserved it. What a goal. Sanchez is what Josh Smith has got to say. And if you're being honest, when you look at it, they did deserve it today. 20-odd attempts on goal away from home is very, very good in the English Premier League by any standards. By any standards is very good. 21 shots on goal. They had 9 of them were on target. They created in the game, just checking here, 17 chances. The only thing that was off today was the crossing. The crossing was very, very poor from the wide players. But overall, they dominated proceedings. The one thing they haven't quite got right yet at Tottenham is like a clinical edge. Hasn't really happened for them in the way in which Antonio Conte would want. The January window is opening, though. They are going to spend money, and they're looking better and better. When you also look at as well, just slowly getting there to be more defensively resolute. And I think that's what's going to be really, really key. Remember, they've got those games in hand to Brighton, the game in hand to Leicester. They beat Arsenal and it is an if, but and a maybe, they beat Arsenal and they win those games in hand. What an advantage Tottenham have. Now, of course, all eyes go over to Man United and West Ham in the top 4 race. West Ham kicking off in 25 minutes time because they're back in the mix with a win today. A win today for West Ham, and they're on the same games as Arsenal, and they're a point behind. West Ham, where everybody was writing off 2 or 3 games ago, right back in that mix with victory over Crystal Palace as well today. Donny James here says, Happy New Year. Just finished reading an old program from when Doncaster played Liverpool in a league match in 1957. Take care, bro. Here's to 2022. Thank you very, very much indeed. A lot of people are asking for Igal to come on. I very much doubt Igal will be here after the disappointment of Arsenal today. He's probably still stewing over that, to be fair. Spurs are serious top 4 favourites in my eyes, is what Football Matters has got to say here. Son cracking at deliveries. Yeah, that cross at the end was absolutely pinpoint. I can't pronounce your name, sir, but just singing Antonio's song. AJ Valentino says, Terry, if Arsenal play how they played against City, they will smash Spurs. I agree. If they dominate the proceedings, create the chances, they will do it. But that's what makes this game so fun, because everybody assumed with how Liverpool were playing, they were going to take Spurs apart and they couldn't do it. There are no foregone conclusions at White Hart Lane. This is Arsenal away, Tottenham at home, a team that looks potent at the moment against a team that can't be beat. I'm not quite going to call it an unstoppable object meeting an unmovable object, but we're close to that. It's a very intriguing game. Plus, there's still 2 weeks. Let's wait for the dust to settle to a degree. Let's see what happens to these teams in the League Cup games. Let's see what happens to these teams in the FA Cup games, what their form is feeling like, what injuries are saying at the time as well. There's going to be many ups and downs between now and then and lots to look at. It's going to be an intriguing game indeed. My brother Jerome in the house here, big Spurs fan with a super chat, says, I miss that creative player, and hopefully in January we can bring reinforcements in because that top 4 race is going to be so hard. And you are right about that. It is going to be hard. That's why I'm writing nobody off. I don't think there's any guarantees right now. I said a few days ago, Man United have the best squad, I believe. Spurs have the best manager, and they've got a January window to buy in. Arsenal have the fact that they've been with their manager for over 2 years now, meaning there is more cohesion. There's maybe a greater togetherness. They understand the manager's philosophy fully. They've had enough time to train and drill it, have pre-season. So each team has a string to its bow that maybe the other doesn't. That is what I think makes it so intriguing amongst those teams. Francisco here, one of our members, says, I said this a few streams ago, top 4 will be Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Spurs. He's claiming Man United and Chelsea could miss out. Tottenham Hotspur 3, Woolwich, Arsenal, Harry Kane hat-trick is what's being... Can you imagine if that happened? I'm not suggesting it will. The fallout from that would be gargantuan. It would be gargantuan. It really, really would. There's been a lot of football on today. We are going to take your calls on this show. That link has been shared right about now. If you want to come on and have your say about this game, maybe you want to chat about the Arsenal game earlier. West Ham kicking off soon as well. But do us a big, big favor also. Go into the link in our description below and make sure you're following our Twitch account. Tomorrow, we do our first live watch-along in the studio for the Chelsea versus Liverpool game. So it's going to be exclusive to watch along on Twitch. So make sure you get following us right about now over on Twitch. Very important that you go and do that. Closing in on 1,000 followers over there, which is amazing. But we should have a lot more followers over there than we do with the amount of YouTube subscribers we have. So top people for doing that so far. Get that done. Terry, help me. I'm so hungover. I don't really know what to suggest. Eat some food, drink some water, go for a run, drink loads of water and go for a jog and you'll feel better. Trust me. Sweat it out your system, bro. Ian here says, Arsenal are beating the teams in poor form or going through an injury crisis. Yeah, look, they didn't beat Man City today, so that's an easy claim to make, but they outplayed them. And I think some respect does need to be put upon Arsenal's name. And that's why this North London derby is so intriguing. I don't think either team can claim bad form going into it. A manager on the ropes, an injury-ravaged squad. I feel like we could go into this North London derby, all things being equal, finding out which of the two teams is the best right now. By the end of the season, that could turn and change round again. But it's going to be very, very intriguing to see what happens in that match. And I think Arsenal losing today and Spurs winning makes it even more intriguing for a neutral. Especially after the claims from Miguel a few games ago that Spurs would not catch them at all. They could catch them by the next Premier League game and still have 2 games in hand. It makes it exciting, exhilarating, and I'm looking forward to it. Wolves FI here says, yes, but Leicester are coming as well. Only 4 points behind Arsenal if winning those couple of games in hand is what's been said there. Come on, Palace is what Twisted Bubba says. Of course, they kick off very soon against against West Ham United. Terry, bring Igao on. I think now games in hand are more important than points on the board. Not yet, they're not. I tell you where it becomes interesting is if Tottenham beat Arsenal. Then those games in hand become a bit of a problem. But but then they don't need to win them to be in front. So they suddenly become like a bonus as opposed to something you have to win to catch up. Look, I said the other day, there's going to be many trials and tribulations. Spurs could win the next 2 or 3 games, and then they might lose 2 of the next 3. I don't think anyone who's in this top 4 race is going to go on a clear run now where they barely lose a game between now and the end of the season. There's going to be a number of draws. There's going to be a number of defeats. It's going to be topsy-turvy, but there we go. Terry, I told you at the beginning of the season, watch what Conte will do. Imagine they give him the players he wants. He is dangerous. He is a dangerous manager. I think anybody that denied that is deluding themselves 110%. Prime here says, big up Conte, top manager. His efficiency at work, very effective and efficient. Goes on to say here, he gets the job done, gets the 3 points, quietly does his thing, even though it's not beautiful. Top guy is what Prime's got to say. Let's go to some of your calls here. First up on the show today, we're going to get Man Like Leaf. We've got Abdul to come as well and a few others. Leaf's here with me now. Give me your thoughts, bro.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me your take on today. Another hard-fought win, a game you
Yes.
dominated most of the ball, most of the chances, most of the shots on goal. Give me your take, please.
Well, that was really close to being such a disappointing result, It's like if you see all the Spurs fans talking about the game, until the last minute, everyone was saying we have been dominating, but we have been just so poor in the final third and getting that finishing touch to score a goal. I was so happy when Sanchez scored because it's huge, really, because now two games in hand and only 2 points off. It makes the North London derby an even bigger game because it gives us the chance to go above Arsenal and have games in hand, which is massive in this race.
Absolutely. Did you think that Igal's call after the last game, which you drew, that you won't catch them? Do you think that may have been a little bit premature from him and other Arsenal fans that share that same opinion?
Yes, definitely. Because if you look at this season, anyone can beat anyone and anyone can lose to anyone. For example, Liverpool lost to Leicester 1-0, but that doesn't mean anything in terms of Liverpool are gonna finish they're gonna finish lower than fourth. They're so bad. Like we drew to Southampton, but then Arsenal lost to Everton. If we beat Arsenal and we win the two games in hand, we can still drop off because in football we can lose to any team, and Arsenal can beat anyone. They played really well today.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. I think there's too much quality there at the minute to really. Everyone's going to have a favorite, but there's having a favorite and there's writing everybody else off. And I think
Yes.
writing off Arsenal, Tottenham, or Man United to make the top four right now, completely writing them off is a madness. Man United are probably in the worst form of the three, but as if we haven't watched football before and then seen the form turn around. Even under Ollie, we'd have moments where we looked like we were just going to fall away, and then he'd come back. In the end, he
Yeah.
didn't. In the end, he ended up losing his job. But I can see Man United having a resurgence of form and going into 5-6 game run where they look really good and everything's right there, and then dipping off again. And I think there's going to be lots of swings and roundabouts in terms of the January window for Tottenham.
Yes.
What do you want to see? What do you think is the most important type of player to bring in to give your squad something extra?
I don't know. I honestly have to say we need five or more players to get up for convincingly. I think we can make it if we just get a few players, but we need a right wing back to either replace Emerson or really put in some competition. We need a backup striker because we can't have Harry Kane playing the FA Cup against Morecambe. We need a new defender because like Conte makes his players look better, but at some point Sanchez and Davies and Dyer are bound to make a match costing
Yeah.
mistake.
I
So
hear
yes,
you on that. And I doubt you'll get all done in January, but definitely the types of
yeah.
players that you need. That you need absolutely. Leaf, top man for coming on and having your
Thank
say.
you.
Really appreciate it, bro. Thank you. A comment here says Terry, United have 14 points from their last 18. This is also true with Man United. As much as people are getting onto us that we're not looking great, since Ollie's been gone, we've won. We drew with Chelsea and we drew with Newcastle. The rest of the games have all been wins. So Man United's form has been awful since Ollie left as well, but undefeated. So that's why I would say don't write Man United off just yet, because they have the quality in the squad. And there's an improvement of just 10-15% in performances. United are there or thereabouts as well. And I'm just saying that because I think all of these teams are in it. Very, very exciting indeed. We seriously need a world-class playmaker as we struggle to open these lower league teams when it comes to making the top four. Jerome here says Arsenal played very well against City. Not going to lie, it will be a very hard North London derby and very important for both teams. Pressure on Arsenal. Terry, Agal will get his mouth shut very soon. FYI, Spurs have 3 games in hand: Burnley, Leicester, and Brighton. Massive advance. They've got 2 games in hand because Arsenal have also got missed a game as well. But yes, they win those games. They're in and beat Arsenal. What a position Spurs will find themselves in. Abdul's a big Spurs fan. He's on the show with me now. What are you saying, Abs?
Yeah. You hear me?
Yeah,
Before I
perfect,
start?
bro. Perfect.
Yeah. Wow, what a win for Spurs. I was like, if you're looking towards like the Spurs timeline on Twitter, like you can see a lot of fans were starting to kind of look at Conte sideways for the substitution that he was making. A lot of Spurs fans were crying out for like a more creative midfielder like Lo Celso to come on early, or Ndombele most likely. They were kind of like they were kind of frustrated that he did decide to bring on Harry Winks for Oliver Skip, which I feel like that's too like-minded of a substitution. I mean, like Oliver Skip did not really look tired, so I didn't really see the big difference that Winks would have made. But again, we did get extremely lucky with our goal at the end, and Christian Romero, we do have him coming back from injury very soon, which is our big money signing. Um, yeah, he's definitely going to have to compete for Davinson Sanchez because Davinson Sanchez plays that position, and Davinson Sanchez has been playing great recently. But you do know that there's a mistake that's coming from the center backs at the back. You do know, like I remember Davinson Sanchez, he committed a foul on João Pedro late in the game when João Pedro he fluffed the free kick. But you do know that there's a mistake coming from that team. I seen the question. I overheard the question that you gave to the last caller, basically asking like, what is Tottenham's main goal in the January transfer window? What type of player? What type of position? In my opinion, I would say a more creative midfielder. But the thing is, like, obviously, I do hear that there's a lot of talks that's rambling on with Frank Kessie. It looks like Frank Kessie is going to be like our next player if everything goes according to plan. But the type of player that he is, it's not really going to help against destroying these low block teams. He's more of a destroy. He's more of like a Hoiberg, maybe with a little bit more skill. But
Hmm.
like
You,
people are.
you, you need your
Sorry,
you need so that's cool. You're right. You need that Christian Eriksen replacement. You need
exactly.
somebody who's more intricate, who can open a team up. Dare I say it? Do you know who I think could be a really good signing in that position for you? He's creative. He can run. He can finish. You were looking at him last January, Jesse Lingard.
Not like just. Sorry, go. Sorry, go.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, Jesse Lingard is definitely a type of player that, like obviously if he gives us that same form that he gave to West Ham last year, it'll be a great signing, of course. Like people see the amount of goals that Frank Kessie scored, but like all of his goals came from penalties. Like Frank Kessie's not the type of player. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll be happy if we get him because again, it's a great business. He's like a 25-year-old guy that he's a good player, but I feel like we do need another creative midfielder, or if we don't get a creative midfielder, I feel like we need another striker. Like obviously like a Vlahovic, like a kind of like a target man. Like you seen how effective Harry Kane was today. You just literally just give a pass to Harry Kane, him shielding off his the center back, and he'll lay it off. Imagine if you had two strikers like that, because unfortunately, Heung-min Son has been terrible, and he's terrible against these teams that sit back because he's not aggressive enough. Heung-min Son is way too weak to become a striker. I mean, like, I get it. He's clinical, and he has skills, and he's fast, but that's not
Yeah,
all you need. You
but
need that hold-up play.
he doesn't have the ability with his back to play. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
You need that
exactly.
rotation for Kane as well, because the one thing that Poch did, and Jose followed the same suit as well, they all just burnt Kane out. There was never enough time to rotate, rest him. And that's
Yeah,
one of the reasons why I think that he also looks a bit sluggish this year. He's just continuously played football for 6 or 7 years, and he needs that time out. He needs that time to rest, because I've always felt most football players have a certain shelf life, a certain amount of games they can play.
yeah.
And he's played a lot of these football matches already, and Spurs have got to protect him somewhat, I think. Mate, listen, really
Yeah.
good call. Really appreciate that.
This last point,
Yeah,
this
go
last
on, mate,
point.
go
Yeah,
on.
yeah, that shelf life you're talking about, like that's common in every sport. I mean, whenever you're looking at a player, you're not looking at their age on their birth certificate. You gotta look at the mileage that they have on their body, right? And Harry Kane has been playing tons of minutes, intense games, every game. But either way, great win. We're gonna slap up Arsenal, 2-1, 2-1. And yeah, thank you for having me on, Terry. Thank you.
No worries, bro. All the best, my friend. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.
Uh,
Cheers, Abs. Top man, Nazir is on the show now. Nazir Omar's with us. What you saying, Nazir?
Yo, hello, Terry.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I've got two things to say, basically.
Yep.
About the top four race, I think it's going to be a very exciting top four race with Man United, Tottenham, Arsenal all fighting for it.
Yep.
And
I agree.
Tottenham dug in today, got a 95th minute winner. Because you have to start picking up points because the last 19 games is quicker than the first 19 games, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, the second half of the season is always tougher. Injuries, fatigue kicks in. You've obviously got the FA Cups there. There's going to be obviously there's there's European football for Manchester United. There's so many trials and tribulations, ups and downs to make it work. And the biggest thing of all of them is who has the mentality, who has the confidence, who has the balls, as it were, to stand up and be counted. You know, the one thing that I think every Arsenal fan's ignoring is Arsenal have Spurs have got a history of being Spursy. Arsenal have got a history in the last 15 years of getting to like February, March and throwing their season away.
Off,
like so the Man United, we have got a bad record of falling away and not getting ourselves over the final hurdle in the last 9 years as well. All of our clubs have got these deficiencies going into this top four race that have been apparent for 5, 10, 15, in Spurs' case, for decades. So I think that there's so much at stake here. There's so many potholes and problems, positives to look at. I think the whole thing makes it exciting because there is no clear favorite for it. What's going to be very intriguing is what Chelsea and Liverpool now do. Do they pull back away from the top four race, or do they get dragged into it with AFCON injuries, World Club Championships and everything else? So yeah, I think January is going to be a very telling month indeed for how these races go. So yeah, very, very exciting times ahead.
Yeah, 100%. On my second point, I couldn't call in last game. I think you had a panel on, so we couldn't really call in. But I just want to talk about something. You see how Cancelo made a mistake today. I can't. I'm looking at your Twitter feed. I don't see you posting screen grabs showing the mistake.
Absolutely, and I can explain that because every City fan that I follow complained about Cancelo making a mistake, or if you said Cancelo was at fault there, nobody's blaming 3 or 4 other players for his mistake. Therefore, it doesn't need to be highlighted. I wouldn't highlight Trent's mistakes if people just went, "Oh, he should have." All it would take, if on the goal the other night, if a number of Liverpool fans went, "Why didn't Trent go with the runner?" I'd leave him alone. The fact that he gets ignored and protected every single time he makes a mistake, that's why I highlight it. Not because I want to highlight his mistake, but I want to understand why he gets defended so much. That's all it comes down to.
We have to defend it because I feel like every rival fan, every time he makes a mistake, everybody's talking about it. But the same mistake he made, every other right back or fullback is making that mistake.
Cristiano Ronaldo is the greatest ever goal scorer to play in the Premier League, like in terms of career-wise. If every time he misses a shot, the whole crowd goes, "Way!" or they look for holes in his game. When you've got one of the best, they get the most scrutiny. It's just the way it's always been, bro. And I do hear you, my friend. Listen, you take care, Nazir. All the best, brother. Thanks for the challenge. I appreciate it. Take care, my friend. Thank you. Man United fans, I have just had a text message confirmation. Again, this is only their information. I don't know if it's true 100%, but Julian Alvarez is reportedly close to joining Manchester United. I'll just text a few other journalists to see what they've come back with. One person said he can confirm. I can confirm, Terry, that it is close to being agreed. Just going by what's being said there. Joshua Jack here says closing in on Alvarez. Get a CDM and we're confident. Mo's on the show now. What are you saying, Mo?
Hello, everyone. How is everybody doing? Happy New Year, Terry. First, all I wanted to say is that Antonio Conte to the team tried to press so hard, but the Watford team they were great actually in defending. They limited the Spurs players, but also they did not just sit back. They created chances, and there is a big shot for a penalty for that Lloris tackle. But I on the replay, it did not show exactly what the angles they used for VAR and all the stuff. But a lot of people are saying on Twitter that this was supposed to be a penalty and Spurs were supposed to be 1-0 behind. But it didn't happen, and Spurs scored at the end. And this is the quality that some of the Spurs fans, they called for Sanchez to be not playing, but he's shown his quality today. He had a lapse of concentration when he got that yellow card with that foul in front of the 18. But actually, at the end, this is a great header. And this is why we say that the top 4 race is going to be very close. Nobody's going to run away with it I don't think until the end. But this Spurs team under Conte is like, as you said in the beginning of the show, they're not Spursy enough to drop points. They are actually grinding wins, and this is what's going to happen. I think with this Conte, especially with the players he had. He does not have his players. This is why he's just going to try to grind all these wins every day and every match day.
Yeah, look, it's one of those things for me. I think people are focusing a little bit too much on that. Like, I've seen a few people in the comment section as well trying to play down Spurs today because it isn't. This is the thing. Antonio Conte doesn't play a pretty style of football, so they're going to have a lot of games where they have loads of chances, loads of shots, but it's not going to feel like the way Arsenal are playing, getting loads of shots, where it's a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more scintillating. It looks a little bit better. This is where the eye test fouls people. Antonio Conte fouls the eye test, but he delivers. And I would rather listen. My utopia is you pass the eye test and you win, but I'd take failing the eye test and winning over looking better and falling short every single day of the week. So it's going to be an intriguing one for me in relation to that. There's a long way to go, but right now, of the three, Tottenham, Arsenal, Man United, who do you make favourites to clinch that final Champions League spot?
Only I think Spurs because of the manager, and they are actually reported to try to get somebody in big in January. And this is why, like, I'm not sure if Arsenal, like, can, as you said in the previous show, can sustain this big. If they can sustain this big performance every game against the top three or the against Man United and Spurs, they are closer. But we have seen Arsenal drop in form against big teams, and I think what we saw today is that Spurs will win against the small teams. Arsenal will win against the small teams. But we saw Spurs against Liverpool already. They grinded the result, and they were closer to win than actually Liverpool in that game. Are we going to see this from Arsenal? I doubt it. This is why I pick Spurs. Man United is a caretaker, Rajnik. Is he a manager that will grind wins and do all the stuff? We haven't seen that yet, but we have seen Conte doing it. And we have seen Arsenal doing it against the small teams. But the difference is Antonio Conte can win you big games in the league. And this is why I pick them as marginally favorites to get that top four spot.
Yeah. No, again, I think a lot of people are going to have different opinions. I think Spurs are a massive shout. They really, really are. Mo, top man for coming on and having your say. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much indeed. Everybody that's tuned in today, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. Sorry for everyone that's backstage that I can't get on today. I am out of time. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless.